निवासिनि विष्णुविलासिनि जिष्णुनुते.
Hi guys, welcome to the mind of Rabindranath Tagore. Check out this poem written by him in 1904 or 1905 or the Bengali year 1311 according to the calendar which was created by the greatest Bengali king of all time, King Shashanka. The poem is called Shivaji Utshab. কোন দূর শতাব্দের কোন এক অখ্যাত দিবসে নাহি জানি আজি মারাঠার কোন শৈলে অরণ্যের অন্ধকারে বসে হে রাজা শিবাজি তব ভালো উদ্ভাসিয়ায় ভাবনা তড়িৎ প্রভাবত এসেছিল নামি এক ধর্মরাজ্য পাশে খণ্ড ছিন্ন বিক্ষিপ্ত ভারত বেঁধে দিব আমি which means O sovereign Shivaji, I don't know when, some distant centuries ago on an ordinary day, upon what hilltop within a dense sunless forest, the thought from above flashed like a lightning across your forehead that I shall bind this torn up fragmented Bharata in one with a singular religious thread. সেদিনে বঙ্গদেশ উচ্চকিত জাগেনি স্বপনে পায়নি সংবাদ বাহিরে আসেনি ছুটে উঠে নাই তাহার প্রাঙ্গণে শুভ শঙ্খনাদ শান্ত মুখে বিছাইয়া আপনার কোমল নির্মল শ্যামল উত্তরী তন্দ্রাতুর সন্ধ্যাকালে শতপল্লী সন্তানের দল ছিল বক্ষে করি This Bengal that day had not awakened, stalled from sleep. It had not received the tidings, had not rushed outside. Her courtyards had not resonated then with the sound of the shankha. Quietly spreading everywhere her chaste, unblemished, verdant shawl upon the earth, she held at dusk hundreds of her children in the hamlets gently upon her breast. তারপরে একদিন মারাঠার প্রান্তর হইতে তব বজ্র শিখা আঁকি দিল দিক দিগন্তে যুগান্তরে বিদ্যুৎ বর্ণিতে মহামন্ত্র লিখা মোগল উষ্ণীর শীর্ষ প্রস্ফুরিল প্রলয় প্রদোষে পক্কপত্র যথা সেদিনও শোনেনি বঙ্গ মারাঠার সে বজ্র নির্ঘোষে কি ছিল বারতা Then came the day when from the plains of Maratha the flaming tongues of your thunderbolt carved out in every corner of the sky the message of a new age, the Mahamantra of unification. Upon the crown of the Mughals that tempestuous morning the message arrived, written upon a scroll, and yet that thunderous proclamation of Maratha Bengal heard not, hence knew not its intent. তারপরে শূন্য হলো ঝঞ্ঝা ক্ষুব্ধ নিবিড় নিশীথে দিল্লি রাজশালা একে একে কক্ষে কক্ষে অন্ধকারে লাগিল মিশিতে দীপ লোকমালা সব লুব্ধ গৃধ্রদের ঊর্ধ্বস্বর বিভৎস চিৎকারে মোগল মহিমা রচিল শ্মশান সজ্জা মুষ্টিমেয় ভস্য রেখাকারে হলো তার সীমা Presently, one by one, in the dense darkness of stormy nights, emptied the vast palaces of the empire in Delhi. One by one, in sprawling room after room, the strings of lamps began to go out, only to become one with the darkness. Outside, the skies were rendered by the howls of carrion-eating jackals. The glory of the Mughals was laid to rest upon the burning ghat. Nothing remained except the scattered margins of ashes and ruins. সেদিনে বঙ্গপ্রান্তে পণ্যবিপণির একধারে নিঃশব্দ চরণ আনিল বণিক লক্ষ্মী সুরঙ্গ পথের অন্ধকারে রাজসিংহাসন বঙ্গতারে আপনার গঙ্গোতকে অভিষিক্ত করি নিল চুপে চুপে বণিকের মানদণ্ড দেখা দিল পোহালে সর্বরী রাজদণ্ডরূপে Then, upon a corner of Bengal's marketplace of goods, in silent steps, the Lakshmi of commerce through the passageways of a dark tunnel ushered in an alien throne. With the sacred Gangodaka, Bengal quietly anointed the new arrival. Before the fateful night was over, the Mandanda of the trader morphed into the Rajdanda of the conqueror. সেদিন কোথায় তুমি হে ভাবুক হে বীর মারাঠি কোথায় তব নাম গৈরিক পতাকা তব কোথায় ধুলায় হলো মাটি তুচ্ছ পরিণাম বিদেশের ইতিবৃত্ত দস্যু বলি করে পরিহাস অট্টহাস্য রবে তব পুণ্য চেষ্টা যত তস্করের নিষ্ফল প্রয়াস এই জানে সবে Where were you then, O contemplative one, hero of Maratha? Where was your valiant name? Your saffron insignia scattered in the dust, crushed into nothingness by decree of fate. The mocking records of the invaders brand you as bandit as they break into raucous laughter. What all have since known is that all your noble efforts were nothing more than a robber's failed work. ওই ইতিবৃত্ত কথা ক্ষান্ত করো মুখর ভাষণ ওগো মিথ্যাময়ী তোমার লিখন পরে বিধাতার অব্যর্থ লিখন হবে আজি জয়ী যাহা মরিবার নহে তাহারে কেমনে দিবে চাপা তব বঙ্গবাণী যে তপস্যা সত্য তারে কেহ বাধা দিবে না ত্রিদিবে নিশ্চয় সে জানি হে ইউ লায়ার্স স্টপ ইউর ফলস স্পিচেস ও ignominious muse of lies know that the true verdict of destiny shall override the falsehood today and truth shall declare victory that which is deathless how can it ever be smothered by your words of scorn the sadhana steeped in truth nothing shall stand in its way this I know for sure হে রাজ তপস্বী বীর, তোমার সে উদার ভাবনা বিধির ভাণ্ডারে সঞ্চিত হইয়া গেছে, কাল কভু তার এক কণা পারে হরিবারে। তোমার সে প্রাণোৎসর্গ স্বদেশলক্ষ্মীর পূজা ঘরে সে সত্য সাধন, কে জানিত হয়ে গেছে চিরযুগ যুগান্তর তরে ভারতের ধন। O brave royal sage, those soaring unifying thoughts of yours are preserved in the storehouse of fate. Forever could the hands of time ever steal the minutest speck of it? That sacrifice of yours at the shrine of your motherland, that resolute sadhana for the truth, who would have known that these became, from then onwards till the end of time, Bharata's inheritance? অখ্যাত অজ্ঞাত রহি দীর্ঘকাল হে রাজ বৈরাগী, গিরিদরি তলে বর্ষার নির্ঝর যথা শৈল বিদারিয়া উঠে জাগি পরিপূর্ণ বলে। সেই মতো বাহিরিলে বিশ্বলোক ভাবিল বিস্ময়ে, যাহার পতাকা অম্বর আচ্ছন্ন করে এতকাল এত ক্ষুদ্র হয়ে কোথা ছিল ঢাকা। ও রয়্যাল রেক্লুজ, after ages of obscurity and oblivion, just like the swell of the immense rains on mountain tops bursts forth from the mighty cliffs, awakened and resurgent like an unstoppable fountain, likewise, when you emerged, the world was filled with wonder. He whose vast flag envelops the heavens, where was he concealed for so long? Where was he retracted in such smallness? সেই মতো ভাবিতেছি আমি কবিয়ে পূর্ব ভারতে কি অপূর্ব হেরি, বঙ্গের অঙ্গনদ্বারে কেমনে ধ্বনিল কোথা হতে তব জয় ভেরি। 300 বৎসরের গাঢ়তম তমিশ্রা বিদারী প্রতাপ তোমার, এ প্রাচী দিগন্তে আজি নবতর কি রশ্মি প্রসারী উদিল আবার। And so I, poet of eastern India, sit and ponder, what glorious sight this I see at the gateway to Bengal's courtyards, from where sounds the booming trumpet of your resounding victory, ripping apart the gloom-laden fabric of the deepest darkness accumulated well over 3 centuries. The blazing star of your great determination is arisen today, sending shafts of radiant light to the eastern horizon. মরে না কভু সত্য যাহা শত শতাব্দীর বিস্তৃতির তলে, নাহি মরে উপেক্ষায়, অপমানে না হয় অস্থির, আঘাতে না টলে। যারে ভেবেছিলে সবে কোনকালে হয়েছে নিঃশেষ, কর্ম পরপারে এলো সেই সত্য তব পূজ্য অতিথির ধরিবেশ ভারতের দ্বারে। No, the truth never dies beneath the oblivion of 100 centuries. Indifference doesn't kill it. It doesn't get stirred nor weakened by insult. It takes 100 beatings but stands tall. The one considered long since vanquished and silenced beyond the field of action, that truth today is arrived, clad as a venerable guest at Bharata's door. আজও তার সেই মন্ত্র, সেই তার উদার নয়ান ভবিষ্যের পানে এক দৃষ্টে চেয়ে আছে, সেথায় সে কি দৃশ্য মহান হেরিছে কে জানে। অশরীর হে তাপস, শুধু তব তপমূর্তি লয়ে আসিয়াছ আজ, তবু তব পুরাতন সেই শক্তি আনিয়াছ বয়ে, সেই তব কাজ। Yet today its potent mantra, its generous eyes gaze upon the future with rapt attention. What glorious vision it sees, who is to tell? O ethereal sage, you are arrived today manifest in your meditative image, yet brought with you your legendary power to fulfill your mission. আজি তব নাহি ধ্বজা, নাই সৈন্য রণ অশ্বদল অস্ত্র খরতর, আজি আর নাহি বাজে আকোশেরে করিয়া পাগল হর হর হর। শুধু তব নাম আজি পিতৃলোক হতে এলো নামি, করিল আহ্বান, মুহূর্তে হৃদয়াসনে তোমারেই বরিল হে স্বামী বাঙালির প্রাণ। You have not today your ensigns, warriors or steeds, nor your fierce weapons. The skies are not rendered insane today by booming chants of Hara Hara Hara. From the realm of the fathers descended your name and beaconed one and all, and in an instant the adoring heart of the Bengali embraced and installed it within her sanctum. একথা ভাবেনি কেহ এই 3 শতাব্দ কাল ধরি, জানে কি স্বপনে তোমার মহৎ নাম বঙ্গ মারাঠারে এক করি দিবে বিনা রণে। তোমার তপস্যা তেজ দীর্ঘকাল করি অন্তর্ধান, আজি অকস্মাৎ মৃত্যুহীন বাণীরূপে আনি দিবে নূতন পুরাণ নূতন প্রভাত। No one had imagined nor dreamt in their sleep in these 3 centuries that your hallowed name one day would unite Bengal and Maratha without battle, that the power of your penance, long curtailed in oblivion, abruptly today like an everlasting message would instill a fresh new life upon a fresh new dawn. মারাঠার প্রান্তর হতে একদিন তুমি ধর্মরাজ ডেকেছিলে যবে, রাজা বলে জানি নাই মানি নাই পাইনি লাজ সে ভৈরব রবে। তোমার কৃপান দীপ্তি একদিন যবে চমকিলা বঙ্গের আকাশে, সে ঘোর দুর্যোগ দিনে না বুঝিনু রুদ্র সেই লীলা লুকানু তরাসে। Once when you had beaconed from the realm of Maratha, we knew not that you were the king, we paid not heed, felt not the slightest shame at that call. Then when the dazzling luster of your sword shone upon Bengal's skies, on that ill-omened day we knew not the ferocious Leela. Alarmed, we only ran and took shelter. মৃত্যু সিংহাসনে আজি বসিয়াছ অমর মূর্তি সমুন্নত ভালে, যে রাজকিরীট শোভে লুকাবে না তার দিব্যজ্যোতি কভু কোনো কালে। তোমারে চিনেছি আজ, চিনেছি হে রাজন, তুমি মহারাজ, তব রাজকর লয়ে 8 কোটি বঙ্গের নন্দন দাঁড়াইবে আজ। With your head held high, seated upon the throne of death, the royal diadem upon your temple, never shall its divine radiance be concealed ever. You are revealed today to us, O royal one. You are indeed the Maharaja. 80 million children of Mother Bengal shall bow to you with their royal tribute. সেদিন শুনিনি কথা, আজ মোরা তোমার আদেশ শির পাতি লব। কণ্ঠে কণ্ঠে বক্ষে বক্ষে ভারতে মিলিবে সর্বদেশ ধ্যান মন্ত্রে তব। ধ্বজা কুড়ি উড়াইব বৈরাগীর উত্তরী বসন দরিদ্রের বল। এক ধর্ম রাজ্য হবে এ ভারতে, এ মহাবচন করিব সম্বল। We didn't heed you that day. Today we shall accept it with bowed heads. All the states, in all voices, in all hearts, shall meet your meditative mantra. We shall fly the saffron attire of the Bairagi as a flag along with the strength of the poor. We shall make your slogan our way of life. I shall bind this Bharata with a singular religious thread. মারাঠির সাথে আজি হে বাঙালি এক কণ্ঠে বলো জয় তু শিবাজি। মারাঠির সাথে আজি হে বাঙালি একসঙ্গে চলো মহোৎসবে সাজি। আজি এক সভাতলে ভারতের পশ্চিম পূরব দক্ষিণে ও বামে একত্রে করুক ভোগ একসাথে একটি গৌরব এক পুণ্য নামে। হে বেঙ্গলিজ, join the Marathas in chanting in one voice জয় তু শিবাজি। হে বেঙ্গলিজ, join the Marathas in their grand festival. Today, let all the East, the West, the nationalists and the leftists join in one meeting place and celebrate the glory of this sacred name. So guys, that was the legendary poem Shivaji Utshab by Rabindranath Tagore. Now this poem is kind of brushed under the carpet, or is at least not known by most of the people in Bengal, and those who know about it kind of ignore it or invisibilize it, and those who do know it, understand it and acknowledge it, they are the people who call Rabindranath Tagore a bourgeois poet, a bourgeois Kobi, or a bigot. They are at least honest with their thoughts. Now any Bengali will know that whenever they talk of Hindutva, they are accused of siding with dirty UPites and Biharis or the evil Maratha Borgis who apparently did one destructive tour of Bengal each year for about a decade, which was actually intended to harm the Muslim kings but ended up harming people on the ground level as well. Before I read this poem, I had always been amused by this notion that out of all the people in the world, we Hindu Bengalis are supposed to fear the Marathas. Yes, the Marathas are the ones we are supposed to fear. The Borgis out of all people, who did destructions for about 10 years, once every year, and who have today no intention absolutely of doing any harm to you as a Bengali or as a Hindu or as an Indian. Those are the people we are supposed to be worried about and not supposed to be siding with. And for everyone else who killed you, who did genocides of you repeatedly in Noakhali, in Direct Action Day, in Kashmir, in Mopla, when it comes to those people, we are supposed to acknowledge that yes, there were faults on both sides. Some people play politics with religion, you know, but Borgis are the biggest threat of all. So screw those guys. And these people give one other hilarious argument that, you know, Rabindranath Tagore must have changed his views later in his life. Oh yes, now you are expert at a person's lifelong body of work, right? When it comes to Ambedkar, you guys have not read anything written by Ambedkar after 1935. You all mysteriously seem to have missed out what Ambedkar wrote in 1946, you know? So, you are going to nitpick Ambedkar's early works, you are going to nitpick Rabindranath Tagore's later works, you are going to nitpick Savarkar's one letter he wrote in prison after remaining there for 14 years after being tortured. So don't get pissed off when I propagate this beautiful poem to all Indians of the world. And most importantly, remember something, leftists. Ambedkar apnar babar property non, Rabindranath apnar babar property non. Ambedkar आपके बाप के प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है, रविंद्रनाथ आपके बाप के प्रॉपर्टी नहीं है. Everyone has different shades. You may agree with some, you may disagree with some, but don't give out the impression that you own Ambedkar or you own Rabindranath Tagore or you own Sri Aurobindo. Now let's get on with some nicer quotes from Rabindranath Tagore. Rabindranath Tagore writes in his book Japan Jatri 1919. It's a travelogue. He writes, everyone can happily bow down in front of that which is bigger than us and comes out through worship. It's not disturbing. Where Qutub Minar of Delhi stands like a mudgal in the heart of artistic creation of an ancient Hindu king, that arrogance pains the mind. Then in the mosque built by Aurangzeb in Kashi to disrespect Hindu worship, I don't see beauty nor sacredness. Now I could not find an English translation of this. I translated this myself from the actual Bengali book, and I challenge any Bengali in the world to challenge me in this translation. Next, the now famous quote from his works called Rabindranath, Original Works of Rabindranath, Volume 24, page 375, Vishwa Bharati Publications, 1982. It says, "There are two religions in earth which have distinct enmity against all other religions. These two are Christianity and Islam. They are not just satisfied with observing their own religions, but are determined to destroy all other religions. That's why the only way to make peace with them is to embrace their religions." In a letter to Hemontobala Sarkar written on 16th of October 1933, quoted in Bengali weekly Swastika on 21 June 1999, he says, "The terrible situation of the country makes my mind restless and I cannot keep silent. Meaningless ritual keeps the Hindus divided into hundreds of sects. So we are suffering from a series of defeats. We are tired and worn out by the fortunes by the internal-external enemies. The Muslims are united in religion and rituals. The Bengali Muslims, the South Indian Muslims, and even the Muslims outside India, all are united. They always stand united in face of danger. The broken and divided Hindus will not be able to combat them. Days are coming when the Hindus will be again humiliated by the Muslims. You are a mother of children. One day you will die, passing the future of Hindu society on the weak shoulders of your children. But think about their future." In an interview with Times of India in 1924, Tagore said, "A very important factor which is making it almost impossible for Hindu-Muslim unity to become an accomplished fact is that the Muslims cannot confine their patriotism to any one country. I had frankly asked the Muslims whether, in the event of any Mohammedan power invading India, they would stand side by side with their Hindu neighbors to defend their common land. I was not satisfied with the reply I got from them. Even such a man as Mr. Muhammad Ali, one of the famous Ali brothers, the leaders of the Khilafat movement that is, has declared that under no circumstances is it permissible for any Mohammedan, whatever be his country, to stand against any Mohammedan." In the article called Swami Shraddhananda, published in the magazine Kalantar, Tagore writes, "So, if the Muslims beat us and we, the Hindus, tolerate this without resistance, then we will know that it is made possible only by our weakness. For the sake of ourselves and our neighbor Muslims also, we have to discard our weakness. We can appeal to our neighbor Muslims, please don't be cruel to us. No religion can be based on genocide. This kind of appeal is nothing but the weeping of the weak person. When the low pressure is created in the air, storm comes spontaneously. Nobody can stop it for the sake of religion. Similarly, if weakness is cherished and be allowed to exist, torture comes automatically. Nobody can stop it. Possibly, the Hindus and the Muslims can make a fake friendship to each other for a while, but that cannot last forever. As long as you don't purify the soil, which grows only thorny shrubs, you cannot expect any fruit." In the article Atmaporichoy, published in his book Porichoy, Tagore states, "When 2-3 different religions claim that only their religions are true and all other religions are false, their religions are only ways to heaven, conflicts cannot be avoided. Thus, fundamentalism tries to abolish all other religions. This is called Bolshevism in religion. Only the path shown by the Hinduism can retrieve the world from this meanness." In his article titled Samasya, Rabindranath Tagore quoted from the report of Dr. Munje, submitted to Jagadguru Shankaracharya of Sringeri Shardapit Mutt on the Mopla riots of 1921. Quote, "Thus Hindus of Malabar are generally speaking mild and docile and have come to entertain such a moral fear of the Moplas that the moment any such trouble arises, the only way of escape the Hindus can think of is to run for life, leaving their children and women folk behind. To take care of themselves as best they could, thinking perhaps honestly that if the Moplas attack them without any previous molestation, God, the Almighty and the Omniscient is there to teach them lesson and even to take a revenge on their behalf. Hindus are not accustomed to handle earthly matters in a realistic way. They have snuggled themselves in the hegemony of Nitya and Anitya and have lost their common sense. As they insult God by replacing intelligence with rituals, projecting God in place of self-reliance, they suffer and don't understand this due to their inertia of mind." Quote, in another portion of the report, Dr. Munje briefed that 800 years back, Hindu king of Malabar allowed the Arabs to settle in his state following the advice of Brahmin ministers. The Muslims were encouraged to convert Hindus in such an extent that the king directed every fisherman's family to allow one of their family members to be converted to Islam. The reason was very simple. Adherent king and his ministers considered the voyage as against religion. They delegated the responsibility of a coastal security upon the Muslims. those who used to believe in their common sense and not in Manu. Dr. Munje said in another part of his report that 800 years ago, the Hindu king of Malabar, on the advice of his Brahmin ministers, made big favor to the Arab Muslims to settle in his kingdom. Even he appeased the Arab Muslims by converting the Hindus to Islam, to an extent to making law for compulsory conversion of a member of each Hindu fisherman family into Islam. Those whose nature is to practice idiocy rather than common sense never can enjoy freedom even if they are in the throne. They turn the hour of action into a night of merriment. That's why they are always struck by the ghost at the middle of the day. The king of Malabar once gave away his throne to idiocy. That idiocy is still ruling Malabar from a Hindu throne. That's why the Hindus are still being beaten and saying that God is there, turning the faces towards the sky. Throughout India, we allowed idiocy to rule and surrender ourselves to it. That kingdom of idiocy, the fatal lack of common sense, was continuously invaded by the Pathans, sometimes by the Mughals and sometimes by the British. From outside, we can only see the torture done by them, but they are only the tools of torture, not really the cause. The real reason of the torture is our lack of common sense and our idiocy, which is responsible for our sufferings. So we have to fight this idiocy that divided the Hindus and imposed slavery on us. If we only think about the torture, we will not find any solution. But if we can get rid of our idiocy, the tyrants will surrender to us.
Jaya Jaya He Mahishasura